Is the 4-year Bitcoin halving cycle coming to an end? We're going to talk about it in this new Rockin Talkin video. Shout out to my brother-in-law in Georgia for the idea. I appreciate that idea. I like it. We're going to roll with it. All right, so let's talk about this. What do I think? Yep, it's coming to an end, and I'll explain why. A little backstory on Bitcoin. Bitcoin started in '09, for those of you who don't know. And the idea is that every 4 years, the amount of rewards that get released, or the amount of coins that get released in supply, circulating supply, get cut in half every 4 years. And the total amount of Bitcoin that'll ever exist, just for those who don't know, just if you're new here and you just learning about Bitcoin, that's 21 million. That's all that'll ever exist. Right now, there's about 19.9 million in circulation ish. Let's just go with that. Soon to be 20 million. So we have just over a million left that will be released in circulation. So how does that happen? How do they get released in circulation? Well, these miners or computers on the network solve really complex problems to determine the next block in the chain. And in doing that, if you are the winning node or computer on that blockchain, Bitcoin, you get rewarded in Bitcoin for doing that, mining that block on the blockchain. And so what happens is every 4 years that amount gets cut in half. So that's the inflation rate decreases up until you get to 21 million. So how does that work? So if I tell you to jump 10 feet and you jump 10 feet, and then your next jump, I say jump 5, you have to go half as far, that's 5 feet. So you're going to jump 5 feet. And then I say, okay, go half as far as the last jump you just made. Well, that's 2.5 feet. You get the idea. So over time, your distance keeps decreasing, or as it relates to Bitcoin, the reward that gets released or mined, the rewards you get also gets cut in half, right? So if you roll this out in the future, your next question is, okay, well, when will they all get mined? Good question. About the year 2140, a long way away. I'll be long gone by then. And so will you, most likely. I hope that's not the case, but I think that's going to be the case. So anyway, you forward this in the future, and that rate gets cut in half every time. So you can see how that, because that inflation rate keeps decreasing, how and with demand rising, you can see how that becomes a big deal, right? So right now we're mining about 400 Bitcoin a day. It's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. That's very little. And it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of compute power to be able to win the reward, right, for the next block, to get that. And so here we are in 2025. We just had a halving back in 2024. And it was a big deal. It's always a big deal leading up to it. We have countdowns. It's coming, and then people get excited, and it's half as much get released, and the price goes up, and all that. Well, that's been fine and dandy now for the last, how many halvings have we had? 4, I guess we've had since the beginning of Bitcoin, when the chain launched. So yeah, up until a year or so ago, when the Bitcoin ETFs launched, which there's 12 of those, by the way, and that's where people in the traditional TradFi markets can go and invest in the ETF, and you're basically investing spot Bitcoin at its current price, and you're getting basically a representation of Bitcoin. And so that's changed the game. Institutional adoption has changed the game. Because prior to the last couple years, it's predominantly been retail that's been the driving force behind Bitcoin. Well, now you have institutions, you have sovereign wealth funds, you have states, you have companies now, treasury companies like Michael Saylor's strategy that is buying Bitcoin left and right. You have all these new dynamics now that have really changed the game. And that matters. So I just, with all those dynamics, I just don't see the halving being a big deal. If I was going to give a percentage of it being a big deal, I would say maybe 15%. It's not going to have zero effect anymore. It's just going to have significantly less. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's not going to have any effect on it at all. I'm just saying it's going to be significantly less than what it has in historically in 10 years ago, where that was pretty much the big momentum everybody built up to. But I think it's a little silly to think that for generations to come, that the big kumbaya moment for Bitcoin is only going to hinge around a halving. I think that's crazy. I think Bitcoin is about what, $2.5 trillion right now ish. Let's just go with that. In a few years it'll be 5 trillion, maybe 10 trillion. A lot of people are saying it's just a matter of time before it flips gold. I can see that. I get it. Don't disagree with that one bit. I could totally see it happening. And I think also when money leaves gold, and it will, once gold, it's starting to show some weakness now. It's not going to take a whole lot of gold. Gold hit 30 trillion. It's not going to take a whole lot of that capital liquidity to flow into Bitcoin for it to just go nuts, and really pump the price up. So, and it can happen at any moment in time. People take their profits out of gold, and what do? They're going to run over to Bitcoin and take it out of silver and run over to Bitcoin. It's cyclical. It moves around. And for those of you who haven't been in crypto very long, you may not understand, but that's how the crypto works. I mean, money just, it cycles in and out. Whatever the hot narrative is where it's going. And I think you're starting to see the markets now really, they're really starting to change as far as becoming a lot more narrative based. It almost like it's taking on the attitude and the of crypto a little bit. It seems like TradFi is starting to get this like crypto kind of attitude about it, where it's just running from tech stock to tech stock and narrative, and it's almost kind of, it's all blending together now. Where if TradFi, stocks, equities, crypto, gold, silver, it's all kind of just lumped into these investments, and it just so happens to be with the debasement of the dollar, which we've talked about, that those assets are the assets that people want to run to, when we have a dollar that's turning into junk as the days go by. So, but yeah, this Bitcoin having, it's mattering less and less over time, and I think you'll see that. I'm not saying it's not going to matter at all. It's not going to influence things at all, but yeah, it will a little bit. But I think the hype around this 4-year cycle and the run up to it and all of that, and this 4 year and the bull run, the bear run, and all of this is like, people just think it's like it's clockwork, is going to stay that way. I don't see. I don't see that happening, but I understand why people harp on that so much. Is because if you were in crypto back in 2010, 11, 13, 2015, 17, 2020, 2021, it's followed that cycle. But you also have to understand too that it didn't have much to hang its hat on then either. I mean, that was pretty much, Bitcoin's the granddaddy. It's the one that started this whole revolution of crypto. And so that was kind of like, that was the cycle, that was the engine that kind of kept this thing moving along, for lack of a better word. So, yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before it starts to fizz out. It's already starting to do that. We're seeing it. This 4-year cycle has not been like any of them in the past, and I think those are red flags, if you want to call them red flags, or just there's signs that it's just not. Now, I think that we just had this big sell off. My opinion is a lot of money went into gold and silver and precious metals, and it's been chasing that. I just think it's Bitcoin's just kind of taking a back seat and just running with the wave, right? The people are FOMOing into gold and silver right now, and but it's not any different than Bitcoin or anything else. It's just been around longer. People will take their profits, they'll sell out, and then they'll go chase for something else that's low, and then they can make. Look, people are kind of forced into it, and we've talked about this in my videos. They're forced into this situation now. If you just sit and stay in an asset forever, well, if you've been in crypto, you understand this. You see something go up and then come all the way back down 60, 80%. And you just left all that money on the table. So people have short patience now, and they're taking their profits and they're holding and they're looking for the next opportunity that with growth. And I can't blame them for that. That's capitalism. That's the way the system works. So anyway, I just want to do this little video for you today and tell you my thoughts on the Bitcoin 4-year halving cycle and give you my opinion whether I think it's going to continue to stick or if it's just fading away, and that mine is fading away. I just think it's not going to hang on like it has in the past, and we're seeing signs of that. So anyway, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos. Again, shout out to my brother-in-law in Georgia for the naming idea of this segment of Rocking on the Deck here in talking. So Rockin and Talkin, I appreciate it there. So y'all have a good one, and leave comments below. Let me know what you think. Take care. Gen X guy out. See ya.